Hello everyone, my name is Khalid Al Sadek. Last class we were explaining the osteology of the upper limb, and before that was the anatomical terminology. It was just an introduction about anatomy. And this class I'm going to be explaining to you the upper limb muscles. I recommend if you just check the previous lectures so you can have a better look about these muscles and stuff. It will be easier for you. So coming to the first muscle in the upper limb, we have the pectoralis major. Pectoralis major is the chest muscle, as we see. Bodybuilders know it very well. So this pectoralis major, anything major has a minor. Now, major means big, minor means small, as you know. Now, the pectoralis major, how do you identify it in the cadaver? You just check if there's a nipple. Sometimes they put a nipple so you can identify it. So then you'll say that it's pectoralis major, as easy as that. It will be very simple. Now coming to the next muscle, we have the pectoralis minor. Pectoralis minor is a muscle attached to the coracoid process and third, fourth, and fifth rib. Okay. Now about this muscle, it's a smaller muscle than pectoralis major. So when you reflect pectoralis major, you find under it pectoralis minor, and it's also very easy to identify. Now about counting the ribs, I'll just tell you small information about it. In brief, the clavicle, as I told you, is an S-shaped bone. Under it will be the first rib. So the first rib will not be palpated or shown. So the second rib, third, fourth, and fifth rib. So that's how I counted it, if you were asking. Now beginning with the first back muscle. This muscle is called trapezius. You might ask, why is it a part of the upper limb muscles? The answer would be to that is that it has some particular movements that it moves the muscle in, and that's why we consider it as a part of the upper limb muscles. So this is called trapezius. Going to the next muscle, we have latissimus dorsi. Latissimus dorsi also is attached to the humerus, as you see in here. Okay, so this muscle is a muscle that also has some movements of the upper limb bones and of the upper limb. So coming to the next slide, we have, as I said in last class, this is the scapula. So we have this is the spine of the scapula. On top of the spine, we have supraspinatus muscle, and under the spine we have infraspinatus. Okay, so on top, supra means above, as I said in the anatomical terminology. That's why I recommended you to check the last lecture. And infra means under. So supraspinatus, and infraspinatus muscle. Now coming to the next, we have the infraspinatus, as I told you, attached to the humerus. It also has some movements that it moves the humerus with. Now coming to the next muscle, we have this big muscle. It's round in shape. So as I said last class, we have the teres major. Okay, so we have anything major, as I said, like pectoralis major. We also have pectoralis minor. As in the next slide, we have the teres minor. Teres, as I said last class, teres means round, circular in shape. So the muscle is circular in shape. So the teres major was big, so it's bigger muscle. Teres minor is smaller muscle. Next slide is smaller muscle. Now coming to the next slide, we have the deltoid muscle. It's very well known. The deltoid muscle is attached to the deltoid tuberosity in the osteology of the upper limb, so you should check that out too. So deltoid muscle is delta basically means triangle. So it's shaped as a triangle. That's why they call it delta muscle. It has three compartments: anterior, middle, and posterior compartment. They all work together to do different types of movements. Now the next muscle will be biceps. The biceps, why did they call it biceps? So bi means basically two. So it has two heads. Okay. So this is the first head. There's a long head and there's a short head. Okay. So biceps is a well-known muscle for bodybuilders, but that's actually not it. The next slide would be the brachialis muscle. Actually, when you flex your hand like this, you see a muscle bulging out. Most of it is actually brachialis, not the biceps, because brachialis is actually a bigger muscle than the biceps. So brachialis is the muscle under the biceps, so it doesn't have two heads. That's how you can differentiate them from each other. Now the next slide, we have a very deep muscle. So you have biceps and then brachialis, and then this muscle is called coracobrachialis. Why is it called coracobrachialis? What's the reason for that? The reason is that it's attached to the coracoid process, as I said, and we call the humerus, we call the upper limb part from here to here as a brachium, okay, brachii. So this brachium, the muscle is attached to it, and it's attached to the coracoid process. So we call it coracobrachialis muscle. It's deeper to the brachialis, and it's a very small muscle. Now coming to this slide, we have the triceps. This is a posterior view. It's showing you from the back. So basically, the triceps, it has 3 heads. Okay, so the triceps has 3 heads. That's why they call it three. Okay, so 3 heads. That's all I want to tell you about the triceps. Now coming here. Now the forearm muscles are a little complicated muscles. Now to make it easier for us, I'm going to show you a method that I'm going to tell you about. It's putting 4 fingers on your hand like this, and each finger will indicate a muscle. Okay, so basically, if you check it out in this picture, the first muscle, as you see in here, is going like this, would be pronator teres. Pronator teres, as I said in last lecture, pronation is this movement. So if you see a muscle moving this way, so it pronates the hand. So and teres, as I said in this lecture, it means circular in shape. So it's a circular muscle that pronates the hand. Now we have the next muscle, and this muscle also indicates the index finger. So if you put your hand should be in this way. So index finger, middle, ring, and little finger, pinky finger. Yeah. Now the second muscle will be flexor carpi radialis. It might seem very difficult for you to know the flexor carpi radialis, but it's actually very, very simple. Flexor, what does flexion mean? I said in the anatomical terminology that there is a movement called flexion. Okay, it's towards the sagittal plane. Okay, now the flexion of the hand is like this. So that's how you flex your hand. Flex your hand like this. Okay, so flexion of the hand. So it's called flexor carpi radialis. Carpi means carpal bones. So these bones are carpal bones. So it's a flexor that's attached to the carpal bones, and it's on the radial side. So it's outside. So it's flexor carpi radialis. Flexor, it flexes the hand. Carpi, it's in the carpal bones, and radialis, it's in the radial side. So of course, all the flexors are in the anterior side, while all the extensors are on the posterior side. So don't make a mistake in this. Now the next muscle, which indicates the third finger, is the ring finger. We have this muscle called palmaris longus. So basically, palmaris longus, to identify it very easy. If you pull the tendon from here, you could check out that the wrist is moving like this. So that's how you know that it's palmaris longus. Okay. So basically, a longus muscle would also have something else called brevis. Okay. So anything long, there should be short. Anything superficial, there should be deep, profundus. Anything superior, there must be any inferior muscle. Okay, so it makes it, anything major, you should have a minor. So it makes it much easier in anatomy. So you check it out, it's palmaris longus. So in the deep muscle, there's another deep muscle under it. It's called palmaris brevis. Okay, so brevis means small. Now the next muscle, which we'll see now, is flexor digitorum superficialis. So as I said, superficialis means superficial. But anything superficial, we have to have a deep. Okay, so the deep kind, the deep muscle, we call it profundus instead of superficialis. Under it we have a deep muscle, so we call it profundus. So why did we call it digitorum superficialis? Flexor, first thing, it flexes the hand. Okay, digitorum, it goes to the digits. These are the digits: first, second, third, fourth, fifth. Okay, we have 5 digits. So, and it's superficial, so you could see it that it's superficial. Okay, so these are the this is the explanation, and these are the 4 fingers that you put. And the last finger, there won't be actually a finger on it. The last muscle, which will be on the middle side, on the medially. Okay, it will be from here coming. So this muscle, it's called flexor carpi ulnaris. As I said, flexor, it flexes the hand. Carpi, it's attached to the carpal bones, and ulnaris, it's on the ulnar side. It's medially. Okay. Now, to know this muscle, to identify it on the cadaver, you have to go run through the muscle. You just check, hold the muscle until you reach to its attachment. It attaches to the bone. What's this bone called? These carpal bone. This bone is called pisiform. As I said, we have 8 bones, 8 carpal bones. They're in 2 rows, first row and the second row. So this is in the first row, and it's the smallest bone in the body. So this flexor carpi ulnaris attaches to the pisiform bone. This is about it for the flexor compartment. We have the extensor compartment now. In the next slide, we have the extensor compartment. Now, the extensor compartment is actually much simpler than the flexor compartment. The flexor compartment, there are some muscles, as I said, they're deep. They don't ask it in the exam, but it's better to know them. Now, coming to the extensor compartment. So this extensor compartment, first thing you should know that it's dorsally, it's posteriorly, as I said. Now, in here we have the first muscle that is called, as you see in here, before I begin with the first muscle, we have in here this muscle. It's attaching to the carpal bone, which is anterior. This muscle is called flexor carpi ulnaris, as you can check it out. And we have another muscle. We have this muscle. It attaches. It goes beyond the elbow joint. So this muscle is called brachioradialis muscle. So it's in the brachium, as I said. This is the brachium, and it's in the radial bone. It's attached to the radial bone. So basically, this muscle we call it brachioradialis. Now, the next muscle I'm going to be explaining to you is extensor carpi radialis longus. So we have 2 extensor carpi radialis. As I said, extension is this movement. So when I do this, I extend my hand. So extensor carpi, it's attached to the carpal bones, and radialis, it's attached to the radius and the ulna. So we have on the opposite side, on this side, we have extensor carpi ulnaris. Now basically, to know the extensor carpi radialis, we have 2 muscles. We have the longus and we have the brevis. So longus means big, basically, and brevis means small. Now, telling you another information is very valuable. You have the medial epicondyle and the lateral epicondyle. So the medial epicondyle is more prominent. All the flexors come from the medial epicondyle, while most of the extensors come from the lateral epicondyle. Now, continuing this lecture, we have also extensor carpi ulnaris. As I said, we have extensor digitorum. Extensor digitorum is just the same as the flexor digitorum, but it doesn't have superficial or any other thing. That's why they call it just extensor digitorum. So extensor digitorum, it extends the digits. These are the digits. It extends them. So there are tendons that go through the digits, and we have extensor carpi radialis brevis. It's here, extensor carpi radialis brevis, and we have flexor carpi ulnaris, as I said, and extensor digiti minimi. Yeah, there are some important fingers of the hand. What I think is that there are three most important fingers in our hand. We have the thumb, which is called pollices in anatomy, and we have the index, which is called indices in anatomy, and we have the pinky, which is called digiti minimi in anatomy. So these three fingers, they have, let's say, different tendons. They have more tendons. They have more than one tendon. So basically, what you see in here, it's extensor digiti minimi. If you see it in here, you could follow the line, and you could see it that it's going to the digiti minimi finger. So we call it extensor digiti minimi. It extends the digit. Now the second muscle I'm gonna speak about is extensor indices. Indices, as I said, it goes through the index finger, and we have three extensors of the. We have two extensors and one abductor of the pollice. Okay, so these three tendons, as you see in here, they're very important because they make something in anatomy called snuff box. Okay, so they call it anatomical snuff box because these three tendons make the anatomical snuff box. The first tendon is called extensor pollicis longus. Actually, the longest part should be in here. So it's extensor pollicis longus. So it's a tendon that goes through, and if you make your hand like this, you could just see the extensor pollicis longus in here. I hope it shows in the camera, extensor pollicis longus. Now the second tendon that we see is extensor pollicis brevis. Extensor pollicis brevis. So this extensor pollicis brevis, anything long, we should have short, small. Okay. So extensor pollicis brevis, it's down there, and we have another tendon also, which is called abductor pollicis. So it's basically abductor pollicis longus. Okay, this is the abductor pollicis, and these three tendons, we have a snuff box. We could palpate a bone in here. This bone will be from the carpal bones. It's called scaphoid bone. You could palpate it. You should see the osteology of the upper limb, so you should know the osteology. Then you could come to the muscles, and I believe these tendons are very important. We have also tendons of extensor indices. Yeah, we have something called interossei. We have interossei in the palm, and we have interossei in the dorsal aspect. So interossei in the palm are deep muscles, and even in the dorsal aspect, there are also deep muscles. They're not very important. They are important functionally, but basically in exams they don't ask them much. It's very hard for students to identify it because it's very deep. And I believe that's it. We have also other muscles that are called lumbricals. These are there in the palms. Now coming to the next slide. Yeah, as you see in here, these are called lumbricals. We have 4 lumbricals in the palm. We have these are the deep muscles of the flexor compartment. So we have the supinator, or is this extensor compartment? No, this is the flexor compartment. We have the supinator muscle. So it supinates the hand. What does supination mean? So your hand was pronated. Now we need to supinate it. So the supinator comes basically from here. So it supinates the palm. Now, we have, as I said, flexor digitorum profundus. It's a deep muscle. It goes to the digits. So we call it flexor digitorum profundus. Profundus means deep. And we have flexor pollicis longus. It goes to the pollice. And we have pronator quadratus. What does pronator quadratus mean? Pronator, it's the movement that you could see, pronation. Quadratus means triangle, square in shape. So it's a square in shape muscle. So we call it pronator quadratus. This muscle is actually very deep also, so the anatomy doctors don't ask it much. Now, about this slide, we have the supinator muscle. As I said, this is the extensor region, the dorsal region. So we have the supinator. It also helps in supination. It's in here. And we have the extensor carpi radialis longus. We have the abductor pollicis. I believe all this was said. Extensor digiti minimi, as I said, goes to the small finger. And we have extensor carpi radialis brevis, extensor pollicis, and extensor indicis. Indicis goes to the index finger. So going to the next slide. I think that's the last one. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Next class, I'm going to be explaining to you the nerve supply of all these muscles. The nerve supply is a bit more harder, so I'm going to try as much as I can to make it very easy for you. Hopefully it will be easy. And I'm going to also teach you the movements of the muscle. Let's say the biceps, it could do some flexion. Okay, so the biceps muscle, it flexes the forearm. Now all these muscles do some certain functions. I'm going to tell to you next class, and hopefully that's it. Thank you very much. If you have anything to comment below, and thank you.